Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Jack was Hollis' riddle caller that night, but someone differently behind drugging? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers reveal that the show has given suckers a layered whodunit plot with plenitude of mystification pieces. B&B is forcing observers to ask questions, like who visited Paul Hollister shortly before his demise? In the July 12th occasion, Hollis replied to someone showing up at Il Giardino right after the power went out. At first, Hollis was taken suddenly and asked what this person was doing there, but he snappily shifted gears and decided he was glad about the appearance. Hollis still had Tom Starr's pack at that point, so he suggested he really demanded to talk to someone about this. Grounded on Hollis' friendly response to someone he honored, that narrows down the list of people it could conceivably be. Hollis had formerly shown Sheila the pack, so it was her. Since Hollis putatively set up Tom's letters to Poppy Nozawa about Luna Nozawa's maternity, that's important to flashback, too. Hollis would have stated effects that way to Poppy and Luna since they re a huge part of the stunner he uncovered. There's a good chance Hollis' riddle caller was Jack Finnegan since the show's been playing up how he befriended the bartender. Everything about that commerce makes sense if Jack was the bone. Who popped up that night? Of course, that doesn't mean Jack is to condemn for the drugging. Hollis was formerly half to the grave by also since he'd been drinking his presumably cured coconut water before this caller ever arrived. What if Jack showed up allowing Il Giardino was still open and also got some shocking updates? Hollis might have shown Jack the letters that Poppy returned to Tom and refocused out that Tom claimed to be Luna's father. Jack started texting Lee Finnegan like crazy once the news about Hollis' fatal outgrowth started to spread. What if Jack was upset Lee might have done commodity to make sure Luna's real maternity stayed buried? Whether Lee's responsible or not, Jack could clearly have enterprises. That's especially true if they both know Jack is Luna's biopater. And have been in cahoots to cover it up. Nethermost line, the riddle caller presumably was the same person who cured Hollis. Jack may be the bone. Who interacted with Hollis that night, but who actually wiped Hollis off the chart? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say this Tom and Hollis riddle will continue to unravel, so we'll bring you more prognostications on all the disturbing exposures ahead. In the morgue, Lee tells Steffi and Finn that Tom and Hollis failed from the same medicine and the exact same position of toxin. Steffi says Sheila was a nanny and knows all about dosing. Lee tells Finn this farther implicates Sheila. Finley Steffi B&B Lee explains she was on her way to defy Sheila. Steffi was going to do the same. Finn worries that if Sheila's back to her old ways, having an altercation with her would not be wise. Undeterred, Steffi says she's defying Sheila. The two of them can come with her. They can put enough pressure on her that she'll confess. She won't rest until that woman is back in captivity for the rest of her godforsaken life. In Deacon's apartment, Sheila tells him she knows he's hurt over what happened to Tom and Hollis. Deacon says he's freaking out. Sheila agrees it was a tragedy, but she doesn't want his mind running to murder. Just also, Deputy Chief Baker walks by and asks, did notoriety say murder? He's there about the two deaths in Deacon's establishment. Baker Deacon Sheila B&B Baker warns they need to probe the death of his workers. Deacon says they were also musketeers. Baker needs to find out what happened to these men. At Forrester, Ridge hasn't heard from Steffi yet. He tells Hope and Brooke that he doesn't know how or why, but Sheila killed those two men. He adds that she's a psycho as Carter comes by. Carter says his contact at the police department reached out. Hollis failed of an overdose. Ridge recaps that the two people failed in the same place of the same medicine. Brooke prodigies if they were doing medicines together. Carter only knows what the report says. He asks how Deacon is doing. Hope says he's worried given they were an important part of his life. Ridge scoffs that Tom was important to him because he saved Sheila's life. Brooke thinks that could be a woeful coexistence. Ridge says there are no concurrents where Sheila's concerned. Carter admits his mind went there too. Ridge has been staying for the other shoe to drop and then it is. She's psychotic. Sheila Carter. Brooke Hope Carter Ridge B&B at Deacon's place. Baker asks him to walk him through what happened the night Tom failed. Cleric goes on about his show and how it was a great night until he collapsed. Sheila says she did what she could, but he just went so presto. Deacon says he de-gutted himself up and had an occasion for an alternate chance. Baker's sorry for their loss, but now that another hand has failed and disquisition has been opened to make sure there's been no foul play. Steffi, followed by Lee and Finn, walk through Deacon's open door. Steffi knew it, the police are involved. Sheila says they re-cooperating and there's no need for all of this. Steffi prompts Finn to tell Baker what he knows. Finn says the necropsy was done at his sanitarium. Hollis failed of an overdose. Cleric gawps, there's no way. Baker says this is ain't news to him, he read the report. Lee says Hollis and Tom failed from the same medicine at the same toxin situations. Steffi sums up, 2 men failed, and we know why. Sheila asks why they re-looking at her. Steffi says, because it's you, Sheila. You killed them. Finley Steffi Baker Sheila Deacon B&B at Forrester Ridge concludes a phone call as hope flashes through recollections of Hollis. Ridge says he gets that Hollis doing medicines doesn't add up for Brooke. How do they make sense of his overdose also? Carter thinks it reinforces the proposition that Sheila had a hand in this. Brooke thinks she should be behind bars. After all the horrible effects she's done, now she's running around and conceivably killed 2 innocent men. At Deacon's place, Sheila tells Steffi that's a dangerous blameworthiness. Deacon wants her to leave, they re-dealing with enough her. Steffi asks how numerous people have to suffer before Baker locks this monster up. She lists her transgressions. Lee snips that now Tom and Hollis are her rearmost victims. Cleric finds this ludicrous. Sheila insists she didn't do this and has changed. Deacon wouldn't tolerate these claims. They re-way off base thinking that Sheila did this. Tom and Hollis were like family to them. Sheila reminds them that Tom saved her life and Hollis treated her with respect. She watched for both of them. Lee asks, also tell us what happened to them, Sheila. Tell us. Sheila suddenly remembers that Hollis set up Tom's pack. He said there was commodity in there that could have gotten Tom killed, and now Hollis is dead too. Finn asks, what are you saying? She says the indication is in the pack. We've got to find it. Finley Steffi Baker Sheila Deacon B&B Steffi scoffs about the falsehoods that come out of Sheila's mouth. Baker wants to hear further about the pack. Sheila flashes to Hollis showing it to her and telling her he discovered commodity. That's the last time I saw Hollis, she laments. Baker learns that she told Hollis to get relief of the pack. She was upset there might still be medicines in it and didn't want it in the eatery. Lee accuses Sheila of wanting to get relief of ruinous substantiation. Sheila's induced the pack is still there downward. That's where our answers are. At Forrester, Ridge says Steffi's not answering textbooks still. He tells Carter she's at the sanitarium trying to get to the bottom of effects. Brooke Hope Carter B&B at Il Giardino, everyone searches for the pack. No bone. Can find it. Sheila says Hollis stockpiled effects behind the bar. She and Deacon check, but come up empty. Steffi and Lee tell Baker this was just a smokescreen. Deacon argues that Sheila had no motive and they've no evidence, just unwarranted allegations. Baker asks Deacon if Sheila was with him that whole night. Deacon admits she came up a little laterally. Sheila says that's true, but she wasn't downward killing Hollis. Steffi pleads with Baker to take Sheila in, while Lee sniffs that it wouldn't be the first time 2 people were harmed there. There could be further if this doesn't end now. Sheila proclaims her innocence again and asks Finn to stand up for her. Finn doesn't know what happened, but what he does know is wherever Sheila goes, destruction follows.